Hey, Facebook, YouTube, happy 2021. How is everybody doing today? I'm back on shooting lives. We had the podcast with Connor, middle of the week. It went awesome, but I kind of took the last week and a half, Christmas, the end of the year, like all that stuff, kind of took it a little slower, rejuvenated, wanting to come back with a passion, right? So 2020, I actually saw a 2020's video that I shot today a year ago, and it's funny. It was all about how are you creating the story out of the previous year. It were you a victim, or are you the victor, and you're creating your year, creating your story intentionally and becoming the victor and created it by you, for you, or were you the victim? Life happened and you just happened to be living in it, right? Well, I kind of took a look at that and then reviewed how last year went. And man, like, it is awesome to see how those things that you put out into the universe actually come to fruition. And so what I am doing this one on, the first one of the year, is about how your support may look different from where you were to where you're at to where you're going to be, right? And so looking at that, I made that video about being a victim or victor last year, and literally like 5 days after that, had a conversation with my partners at the time, and we decided to kind of shift the way the company was looking. And I put the it at the time, I felt negatively impacted me, basically kind of not cutting me out, but we shifted from me being a position of authority and training to acquisitions and like back to the a position I wasn't really, it's not that I wasn't happy with, but felt like it didn't align with where I wanted to be in my business, where I wanted to take stuff, and where I wanted to head. And so that shifted me in February into another company, worked with them through project management, helping them get their acquisitions built up, stuff like that, and then shifted out of that in October. And so this week, today, first video of 2021 for me, talks all about how your support and how things will look may end up looking different. And not just in your business, not just with partners, not just with people you talk to, you do business with, specifically in your business, but I'm talking about your support network, your emotional support network, your life support network, who you've got in your arena that is got your back, and not just has your back, but is intentionally looking to do things with you in regards to your business, in regards to how you run life. You're going to start attracting different people. They may elevate their lives in a specific way. And the phrase that I use with my clients, and the phrase that I use that is very poignant, it's any type of relationship, is you will either grow together or you will grow apart. And what that means, it's multi-layered. It's you will either grow together. So that means you both are growing at the same time, and you will start growing together. As you keep growing up, you're going to start converging. You are going to work better. You are going to work in more support, or you're going to grow apart. And that doesn't mean that like I'm going this way, you're going this way. It just means, hey, we're growing and it may not be a good fit anymore. And that's okay. The other thing to take into consideration that I've seen in my personal growth, emotional growth, as well as, clients, as well as other people, my mentors, like anything that has that arena, is when you start operating at a different level, a different mindset, a different emotional intelligence, a different emotional and business awareness, you actually start operating differently. And when you start operating differently, the people that you had at your current level, their story of you is not going to be congruent with how you are acting. It is going to be seeing you as, just an example, hey, this is what I believe Josh is. This is who I believe he is. This is how I expect him to operate. This is familiar, predictable sometimes, familiar, predictable. So anything outside of that is unfamiliar. Anything outside of that could be seen as dangerous depending on your mindset, right? And so if that's the case, as you start elevating, as you start increasing your emotional awareness, as you start increasing your business skill set, as you start increasing all these things that you're doing in your world to improve your life, you're going to start creating a distance. Possibly, depends on how this person's how this person in your support group is designed. They may grow with you as you're elevating, they may grow as well. Or as we talked about, they may be growing to the left, you may be growing up. It's just going to play out the way it plays out. And so one of the things I always help people understand is when you are going and increasing your awareness, your emotional awareness, your business acumen, these things, and you start having a different story of who you are as a person, you will come into conflict sometimes with the old story as other people have. And so how that operates is they will try to convince you that you're still that old version. They will try to convince you that their story is still accurate by telling you, oh, hey, and it may not be intentionally like beating you down, or may not be intentionally like derogatory or intentional, but it's, hey, this is uncomfortable for me. I don't believe what you're saying. For me, it happened a lot. I used to talk a lot more than I actually did. Now I'm realizing that if I'm going to promote something intentionally and I'm not actively like engaged in it, then I'm just talking. So that's different, because in the past it's been, oh, well, you're just talking, you're never actually going to do it. And what a good indicator on if you are actually leveling up and you do believe in what you are saying and your words have authenticity and integrity, you won't try to convince other people. You won't, because what is happening is if you get upset, if you get frustrated, what you're doing is trying to convince this level that you're up here. And when you try to convince this level that you're up here, you're actually bringing yourself down and giving validation that that level is still accurate. It's how it works. So, hey, Brian, yeah, man. So like right on target. And you know, how that operates is when you start leveling up and people say, there's a great book called Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And what it talks about is emotionally, if somebody says something and you get pissed about it, it means it still has a charge for you. It means it still has a deep down somewhere, you still believe it. So if you're actively trying to convince somebody at this level that you're no longer at this level, guess what? It still rings true for you at some level, and you still have some work to do emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whatever that may mean for you, depending on what's said. But if you're actively and intentionally and really, really, really believing and embodying that next level, then when they say stuff down here that you used to operate at, it's very easy to go, oh no, that's no longer who I am. I'm up here. You know, it's no longer when someone says, you know, you're a con man, or you're a dick, or you're any number of negative things, because that's sometimes what happens, especially, you know, family members and friends and all of that. When you start elevating, those old stories will come out, and they're challenges to your growth. Not that they want to bring you back down, but they're challenges for you to actually acknowledge where you're at in the path. And so that's what it is. That's a measuring stick. That's a litmus test. And that was one of the things that for me took a lot of self-awareness and a lot of emotional growth to realize, oh no, they're just operating from the old story they had of me. And this is actually a barometer on whether or not I still believe I'm that person, whether or not I still believe that I can't do it in this business, or I can't do X, Y, and Z, or I'm that old guy that, you know, used to get mad all the time when something happened and I'd blow up and my temper would get the better of me. Like, as you start progressing through that and you no longer identify with that level, that doesn't hit you anymore, because it's like, yeah, that's who I was in the past. You know, I've made amends for that. I've grown through it, whatever that growth needs to look like for you. It doesn't hit you anymore. It doesn't charge you anymore. It doesn't become something you have to convince somebody to not be that person anymore, right? And so I feel like I'm kind of gone in circles and rambled. So that's what I'm saying is, if those people are genuinely still holding on to that old story of you and you are no longer that person, like, it's going to separate. You're going to grow apart, and they may be elevating on their own level as well. But if that story, if they don't look for the different actions, if they don't look to validate the new story about you, and you're trying to convince them, then you still have validation on your side. So originally it started about like your shift in support will look different if they're still holding on to that old story. You're elevating and creating a new story. you're going to start attracting people that have this mindset, that are attracted to that type of story, that are going to be in a different realm, a different level, whatever you want to call it, a different group, a different mindset, a different circle. Your support will look different as long as you are continuing to grow and they are growing their story about you. So I hope that makes sense. If you have questions about this, because it is a very kind of intrinsic approach, how to build your circles, how to know when to let your circles go, how to know if you're really if it's really something that's them or you, ask me. Definitely. This is my wheelhouse when I deal with my clients. It can be one of those sticky gray matters. People don't know how to navigate, or they have these feelings. I've been there. I help my clients with it all the time. So ask a question, comment, got a couple likes, but I love you guys. It's a new year. So let's make 2021 the year that we just do nothing but have amazingness, right? So I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Got a lot of stuff coming out. Oh, announcement. I've got Bryson Duvall coming next week on the podcast on Friday. So I'm working to get his bio lined up and his headshots and get everything on. Dude is a beast in St. Louis. And I'm scheduling some other great guests for the podcast here in the upcoming year, and then other announcements here shortly. Another one, little hint, I'm going to be announcing tomorrow, probably. Maybe later today. Who knows? So you guys get a quick. I am getting back into the game, looking to buy rehabs in St. Louis. So what you've got, send them to me. I'll take a look. If you guys have questions on your deals in St. Louis, message me as well. Helping with sellers, contract to close, my wheelhouse, my jam. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Love you all. I'll be in contact. It's going to be a great 2021. Talk to you guys soon.